The Sopranos is one of the most successful series HBO has made. The mob family's violent exploits remain exciting in syndication as well. It was the first cable TV show to win an Emmy for Outstanding Drama, and it was nominated every year after that and won again in 2007 for its final season. Keep watching to learn the secrets James Gandolfini and the rest of the cast kept while filming The Sopranos. Getting into character. James was a method actor, following in the tradition of people like Robert De Niro, Christian Bale, and Marlon Brando. He wanted to get into the mind of Tony Soprano, the surly mob boss. The crew of the show claims he would deliberately place a small stone in his shoe to make himself uncomfortable and frustrated. He'd also stay awake all night during certain breakfast scenes, so he'd genuinely be tired and disheveled when the cameras turned on. Settling pay disputes. James did one thing during his run on The Sopranos that a mob boss would never do. He gave away money. It was an effort to settle pay disputes between the actors. Their desire for higher salaries rose along with the show's popularity. Steven Van Zandt and Tony Sirico, who played Dante and Paulie respectively, were holding out for a pay raise. It was enough to shut down the set during season 4. HBO had already offered a 10% increase, bringing their salaries up to $85,000 per episode. James held to the idea that the show must go on and was willing to do whatever it took. He withdrew out of his own money of $1 million an episode and gave every cast member $33,333. It was like he'd become the mob's version of Santa Claus, and everything went back to normal. James's other secrets. James Gandolfini had plenty of secrets during his time on The Sopranos. One of the largest is that he almost didn't get the part. David Chase wanted Steven Van Zandt to get the lead, but eventually gave him the part of Silvio. Another is the fact that his character wasn't always meant to be the type you'd need to put rocks in your shoes to portray. Showrunner David Chase originally viewed Tony as more of a funny man. That lasted until they started filming. James turned a scene with a simple slap into one where he picked him up and left him dangling. It became clear a man surviving the mob had to be dangerous if they wanted to get the show off the ground. It worked, and it made the show what it became, netting James $1 million per episode. That brings up the question, how much Tony would have made if he was a real mobster? Technical consultant Dan Castleman estimates his net worth to be about $5 or $6 million. Other secrets from The Sopranos. A show about a mob family is inherently mysterious, with twists, turns, and sudden deaths all around. The Sopranos stuck to that idea and used it to bring in viewers. The Sopranos was originally pitched as a movie. David Chase's manager Lloyd Braun convinced him it would be a better TV show. He was nervous to pitch it for the first time, and Fox decided to pass, but then he found another network. HBO did worry the title would make people think they were watching a drama about the opera. They considered alternate titles like Made in New Jersey. Instead, they added a gun to the logo to ensure everyone knew what it was about. Watching one episode makes this clear, though. One count suggests there were at least 4,983 curse words across its 86-episode run, including 3,508 F-bombs. Fans of the show can't imagine an episode without the iconic opening, though. Tony smokes while driving through New Jersey, with the song Woke Up This Morning by Alamba 3 playing in the background. David originally wanted a different song, but they compromised by letting each episode end with a different tune. And the final scenes of The Sopranos are some of the most mysterious and debated of all time. Even the cast has theories about what happened after the shootout and the fade to black. Michael Imperioli is convinced Tony died and that the last few moments are a form of his life flashing before his eyes. The worst part is no one but David will ever know. Real-life inspirations and connections. Many of the names and characters in The Sopranos were inspired by David's real life. It's even named after his high school friend group. The connections include Tony's relationship with his mother. He also based the character Dr. Melfi on his therapist. David looked to well-known public figures for inspiration. He based Hesh on the Jewish gangster Morris Levy. Even John F. Kennedy and his assassin Lee Harvey Oswald factor in. Tony Sirico also supplied inspiration from his life. He suggested the nickname Junior for Tony's uncle because it was the nickname he used as a real gangster in his youth. His past inspired much of his character's storyline and character quirks. Two major movies have a deep connection to The Sopranos. One is 1999's Mickey Blue Eyes. They share actors, and the film gets referenced in a Season 2 episode. Goodfellas has an even deeper link. They shared gangster movie themes as well as 28 cast members. including 6 regulars, 10 recurring roles, and 11 one-time guest stars. The show even references the film in a Season 1 episode. The only unfortunate part, director Martin Scorsese wasn't a fan. The actual mob even allegedly took an interest in the show. The FBI loved it, and so did the mobsters they tracked. James said an insider once told him mob dons don't wear shorts. This piece of advice didn't stick, but was referenced in the first episode of Season 4. Filming locations and schedules. The Sopranos was filmed in New Jersey and New York. It also used sound stages at the Silver Cup Studios in Queens. Exterior shots of the fictional Soprano home at 633 Stag Trail Road were filmed at a private home in North Caldwell, New Jersey. It also used real, iconic locations. Bada Bing was a real strip club called Satin Dolls in Lodi, New Jersey. Santani's Meat Market from the pilot was turned into Satriali's Pork Store, an abandoned building they could turn into a soundstage. Sadly, it was demolished after the show ended. Secrets from other cast members. Tony Sirico knew about the mob and had one stipulation when he signed on to play Paulie. His character could never be a rat who sold out his family to the police. Stephen Van Zandt, who played Silvio, was also determined to make sure the show was an authentic portrayal of mob life. That's why he asked famous mobster John Gotti's tailor to make his suits. As we said earlier, he was the first pick to play Tony, but the network didn't want to gamble on a first-time actor, so they wrote a smaller part for him instead. Bobby Bacala is the punching bag of The Sopranos with jokes about his weight. The irony is that actor Steve Sciarippa wasn't much more overweight than James. He even lost weight for health reasons throughout the show's run. He had to wear a fat suit to keep up the act, but his weight loss was written into the show by Season 4. Drea De Matteo also had to go through a complex process to play her character, Adriana La Serva. She had to spend 4 hours in hair and makeup before each episode. This included 2 hours on her hair alone. She also spent an hour and a half to get cover-up before any scene that would show the tattoos on her arms, legs, and torso. Lorraine Bracco won a Screen Actors Guild Award for her portrayal of Dr. Melfi. She was originally considered for the role of Tony's wife Carmela, but turned it down because she had already played a mob wife in Goodfellas and wanted to try a different persona. Jamie Lynn Sigler got an audition for The Sopranos without even knowing what the show was about. She assumed from the title it was about opera singers, and she didn't have singing training. Despite this early misunderstanding, she did get the role. She also received support from the cast with difficult times in her life, such as her multiple sclerosis diagnosis at age 20 and her divorce at the beginning of the 5th season. Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these facts behind the scenes was the most surprising to hear about? Let us know in the comments section below.